Okay. It looks like I just had two errors happen. Sadly, it looks like we're not streaming on Facebook and LinkedIn today. And you know what? That might just be part of me being in a different location. Yay for technical difficulties. So, welcome. While you all are getting logged on, I want to stop and pause and say hello to all the replay people. I understand that joining this video or this live stream as it's happening might be difficult, but I want you to know I'm so happy that you're here and that you come regardless of whether it's live or whether you catch the replay. Thank you so much for taking a second to come and join me. So, I am Rashida, and I am really excited to be here with you today. There we go. Listen, getting things figured out as we go. So this is the Freedom Fridays co-planning session, and this session is all about setting next week up for success. In addition to making sure we really wind down so that we can enjoy the weekend. So there's a couple different things that we do to help ourselves do that. And I want to give you a walkthrough of what those things are so that you know exactly how to be best prepared and to take the most advantage of this replay. Okay. So the way that we do that is first, you want to go and get the worksheet that I have for you. It's at freedomfridays.yourdreamstrategist.com. And that is going to be your companion worksheet to walk you through all the things that we're doing here. Then, with that, together we are going to celebrate our wins from this week. Then, we're going to set up our schedule for next week. And then, we're going to wind down for the weekend so that by the time you finish this session, you are completely prepared to enjoy this weekend without anything running in your mind from what did I not finish this week? How am I going to do it next week? Like, this is how you get all of that stuff out of your mind, down on paper, set up so that you can address it next week, but it's not going to be plaguing your mind over this weekend. So, I hope that gets you excited. It gets me excited too. We've got a couple people that's joined, so make sure you say hello in the chat. Let me see. Of course, I can't see. I'm still learning how to see all the details. So give me a shout out in the chat so I can say hi to you. Okay. All right. So before we get any further into this, I also had a topic that I wanted to talk about today. And I put it on the thumbnail. It's all about I am just exhausted. And I have to tell you that this topic was super relevant to me this week because even though it's been a beautiful month, it started with me going to California as a fun trip and then coming back and having an emergency trip to Pittsburgh to, do some things for my mom. And then it's also been my birthday. Let me tell you, by the beginning of this week, I was so exhausted. I've been surviving off of matcha, caffeine all week. And I was like, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to enjoy this weekend here in Detroit because I am so flippin' tired. So here's my thought around that. The reason there's three different levels to this, in my opinion. There's when where our cup is fully full, then there's exhausted. To me, exhausted means my cup is empty and I know that I need to refill it, but it hasn't been empty for that long. And then to me, the more extreme level of that is burnout. Hey Meg, I'm so glad that you could join today. Yes. Okay. So then the extreme level of this is burnout. That means that you are exhausted and your cup has been empty for some time and you have not been able to refill it. So I'm in this middle stage of I'm not where I usually am, where I have my work-life balance, where my cup is full, where I'm able to give from that place of, overflow. I'm in this place where I've been trying to give from being exhausted and I had to pause. I had to make some shifts because even though this has been a beautiful month, like I'm not into being burnt out forever. I'm not into being exhausted forever because that's going to lead to burnout. So, a couple tips on the way that I've been working through that this week, and I do have to say, I feel a lot better today. I was getting ready to get on a flight, and I was telling my friend how excited I was to see her when I got here, and I felt this peace, and I felt like God was like, "Hey, um, this is gonna be a really restful weekend for you." And I was like, "I received that, Jesus." So that was number one. I had actually wrote in my manifestation journal. I do it every morning. I did a prayer to Jesus and I was like, look at Jesus. We can't keep going like this because I am not worth anything when I'm tired. We're gonna have to get me set up. Like I can't even imagine how I used to live constantly burnt out. Now that I'm in this place where I have work-life balance, when I'm off, my body is like, no, no, get back. Like it's so dramatic at how I feel. So yeah, I stopped and prayed yesterday, like, hey, Jesus, help me get refreshed. So that was just kind of opening myself up to receive it. And then yesterday also, I had to remember that I'm an introvert and I needed some time to just be by myself. So you might think I'm crazy, but I went to the airport at what, 9 o'clock in the morning, and my flight wasn't until 8. And it was perfect. I was by myself. There were people around me. I tapped into the internet. I got a whole bunch of stuff done. I ate some food that I enjoyed, and it was great. And then I got on my flight and I came here and I could feel myself getting better. So that's number two. First, I had to talk to Jesus about it. Number two, I had to recognize what I was missing, which was introvert time, and then making some time to do that. And then number three, Imma take it easy this weekend. I know I'm here to dance. I know I'm here to have fun. I'm here in Detroit. I don't know if I said that. I traveled to Detroit yesterday. I'm here for an event called Champions of the Dance Floor, and it's a stepping event. They had a comedy show last night. I skipped that. There's a dancing event tonight and a dance event and a contest tomorrow. And I'm gonna meet a lot of people. It's gonna be a lot of fun. And I'm gonna meet Meg while I'm here too, which is really fun too. But I'm also gonna save some time to be by myself. I'm by myself right now. I'm really blessed. My friends allow me to stay with them, which is a whole nother topic. It's really beautiful to bop around and see friends and family while you're going. But yes, I am gonna protect my time and my energy while also making sure I go out and do the fun things that I came here for. So I know sometimes when we feel like we're showing up to do the things that are scheduled on our calendar, we can push ourselves to keep doing more and more and more and more. And I want to can give you permission. I'm giving you full permission to show up and do C plus work so that your cup can get refilled. That's where I'm at right now. I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna give the best of what I have, but I'm not gonna try to show up and push myself to pour everything out of my cup. Because then there's nothing left. So I just give you that permission. I hope that feels good for you. What do you do when you're at the place? Like I said, you're not burnt out, but you're exhausted. I would love to hear, how do you process that? What things help you get back on track to work life balance? Or if you have trouble doing that, like, how do you seek help to do that? Do the three things that I just shared, does that help? Let me know in the comments. So, while you're doing that, our next thing that we're going to move into is that, of course, as we always do every week, we start by celebrating our wins. I love it. It's always my favorite time because um wins are good. Wins are things, of course, this is not set up. Let me fix that. There we go. Wins are all about getting this chance to recognize that, girl, you've been working hard. You've been making progress. You've been doing a lot more things that you're giving yourself credit for. So this is a great time for you to pause and remember you deserve some credit. You deserve some claps. So take some time here. Tell me your go put your wins in the comments. I want to shout them out. I want to celebrate them with you, okay? So then while you're doing that, let me think about what my wins are. Now, remember I said that I was going to be better at writing down my wins as I went. Let me tell you something about there are times when I say I'm going to add a new system in, and sometimes it's just not a priority yet, and that's okay. But I'm gonna still show up and tell you my wins. So I hope that you show me, tell me yours too, and don't feel bad when you're not ready to prioritize a specific system. Just show up. You be all right. Okay. So anyway, celebrating my wins. My wins for this week. I today I feel a hell of a lot better than I have felt this whole week. Because every single day this week, I've gotten up and had to get to make myself a matcha tea. And I actually today, last night, I had to say I can't do any more matcha because then it was starting to mess with my sleep. So I'm glad that I'm feeling better today. I'm glad that this bed that they set up for me is amazingly soft and so comfortable, and I'm gonna enjoy sleeping in it while I'm here. All of those are great wins. Let me see, another great win. I'm very excited to still be on this call with you. Oh, Meg says naps help her recharge. Yes. You know what? I love that naps are a thing. I always have a hard time. Tell me this, Meg. When you do a nap, do you feel like how do you feel afterwards? Because I end up feeling like, girl, can I just sleep longer? I'm not. I have a hard time doing naps. Especially because I'm bougie about my sleep. I like it to be dark. I don't want no sun coming in. I got all of these specifications. But I love that. So then I hope you're scheduling naps throughout the week because if naps help you recharge, that's a great system for you to use over and over throughout the week. Okay. I love that. I love it. Okay. So then my second win for the week. Let me think. I have been making some shifts in my business and also in the business that I do freelance work for. And that's been another reason why this month has been so busy because, in addition to traveling, my work schedule has been in this roller coaster. So I'm actually pretty proud of myself of how productive I've been while also making sure that I make time to live my life. So having that balance between the two has been a win for me. And I'm not saying I always got it right because I obviously still ended up exhausted, but I got enough practicing and enough uh ups and downs to figure out, okay, how can I better set up my schedule so that I can do this well going forward without depleting either my time or my energy and being good with that. So that's another win for me for this week. What's another win? Let me think. Don't forget to be posting your wins in the comments while I'm thinking about mine. Let me think. Another Another win. Dang, I'm not supposed to be coming up blank. I know there are plenty of things that I have won at this week. Oh, I shared about one of my it came up in well two conversations came up this week that were actually a lot of fun for me. One, I shared a conversation or I shared a story on my Instagram about how actually it okay, let me come back around. I shared a YouTube video this week about how sometimes it feels safer to not talk about the things that you want in life because when you put it out there, it can feel scary that it might not happen. And in the midst of that, that video was sharing my friend's story. Her name's Leah. She's been a client of mine and how she was able to overcome that. And then I also shared, like, in this moment, I have a dream that I'm still working towards that has not happened. And it's vulnerable to come up on camera and be like, yes, I help people create dreams, but that doesn't mean I have every dream. But that's also human. That's also, we're always going to have new dreams. We're always going to be working towards new things and, it's a little bit of a challenge. It's a little bit of a challenge. It's a little bit of a vulnerability to open my heart and be like, girl, I wish that that thing would have happened a lot sooner than it did. Um, and I'm still gonna hold space and I'm still gonna hold hope for it. Cause I think the other thing about your dreams not happening as quickly as you think that they're gonna happen is that you want to give up hope, you know? I got all kinds of notifications today. Let me turn that off. Sorry about that. So yeah, I it was a win for me to share that story and to share the personal part of it, and that I'm still working on that dream right now. And I want you to know that I'm a human. I don't have it all figured out. Let me know how I can support. I'm sad that she's not here today. Mimi, you are missed when you come back to watch this replay. I just want you to know that we are thinking about you and our hearts are going out to you as you are going through whatever you're going through over at the hospital. Okay. All right. It looks like my Wi-Fi is Wi-Fi-ing. I'm gonna have to find a better way to manage the Wi-Fi while I'm traveling. Learning as I go, right? So, hopefully you all are getting hopefully this is coming through. Um, but either way, I'm going to keep going, and worst case scenario, you are going to catch it all in the replay. All right. So that being said, let's go ahead and move on to our next section, which now that we've celebrated our wins, now it's time to set up our schedule for next week. So the way that we're going to do that, if you have the worksheet, you're going to move to the next couple pages. You're going to go through and look at your schedule and look at what things did you not accomplish for this week, and decide how are you going to move forward with them. Maybe you're going to take those tasks off your to-do list altogether, or maybe you're going to reschedule them for next week, or maybe you're going to put them in a backlog. Maybe you're going to delegate them to someone else. Whatever you're going to do, you're going to decide what you want to do with those tasks, and then you're going to set up your schedule for next week. As you're setting up your schedule for next week, you also want to think about what is the main objective that you want to accomplish for next week, and making sure that you are putting tasks in your calendar, setting aside time to do those things as well. Now, this is not just about setting up things that you need to do for work. This is about setting up time to daydream, time to take your naps, time to go have fun, time to go try out a new restaurant, time for your hobbies, making sure you're blocking out time for all of the things that are not just work, because we know that we're really intentional about scheduling time for work, but we're not nearly as good at scheduling time for all of these other things. We have to be just as intentional about scheduling time for life as we are scheduling time for work, if we actually want to have work life balance, because it just doesn't fall in your lap. You actually have to be intentional about it. So that's what we're going to do in this next section. I'm going to go ahead and switch the screen over. You're going to see me working through my schedule, those things that I just talked you through. And then and I'll have some music playing in the background. Any thoughts or questions, hit me up in the chat. And then we'll move into the next section after that. All right, let me get the iPad here. Here we go. And then the music. All right. So you got about 10 minutes to decide the things that you didn't accomplish for this week. How are you going to set them up or reschedule them for next week? Uh, mm, okay. We're about halfway through.
So
I'm so
nasty.
nasty.
So nasty.
just about done. And then we'll move on to the next section. Okay, so as we're finishing up this last couple minutes here, um, oh, that's amazing. Meg just said, I just set up my trial of Sunsama and trying to figure it out. I love that. Let me know what questions you have. I'm happy to talk you through. And actually, maybe I'll do that today. So I was about to say that one of the things that I am working on right now, since I have so many things, the one thing about your time and energy budget is as you as your life changes, you need to update your time and energy budget. So I've been working with my latest iteration of my time and energy budget for quite a bit of time. I want to say at least the last 8 months. But now my life is shifting again. So I've actually been working through updating it. And so I have updated all of my time, all of my things that are on my different systems, and I need to update them in Sunsama. So maybe I can take some time. I don't think I could do all of that in this 20 minutes, but I want to show you at least some of that. So, how am I going to do that? So the way that I've done that is, let me open it up. The systems and things that I've decided to change are here on my iPad. And I love my iPad because I'm a paperless person, but I still like to be able to write. So that's why I do it this way. You don't have to do it this way. I just suggest writing it because something about writing it makes it feel more real and more tangible when you do it rather than trying it out. So if you are inside of the anti superhero toolkit, I've shown you step by step how to create your routines, and so now putting those routines into Sansama is really about just allowing yourself to figure out how to match up the routines that you've written down. So I don't have it where you'll be able to see. Let me go back to the last screen so that you can see the share of my iPad, and I'll try and find what I'm going to be putting in my iPad. So let me do that. Okay. So you can ignore the reflection time there. I have quite a few windows open on my iPad right now. But this is the window that we need. So as you can see, this was my worksheet. I was brainstorming out all of my current routines, and then I was adding different things to the list of what exactly are within those routines. And then I went back and wrote down how many minutes, how much time is it going to take to do those things within those routines. Now remember, I use the word routines and systems interchangeably. Routines and systems are the same thing to me because the routine is a stack of habits that you do. But this part that makes it a system is that you're doing it at a regular cadence, and that's what's allowing you to get consistency and achieve wins on a regular basis. Okay. So when you look at mine, I have my morning routine, I have an evening routine, I have a workday shut down routine, and a startup routine. Okay. So I'm going to be updating those. I'm going to be updating all of these things in my tracker. So, or in my Instansama. Oops, there we go. All right, so to show you how I do that, now that you've seen like what's on my screen and what I'm looking at, I wanted to make sure you have some context around that. Let's switch back to how I'm going to do that in Sansama so you can be able to see what's on my computer screen. All right, so now I'm coming back over to, now I had an issue the other day with all my traveling. Sometimes I have to reset how things are set up. Here we are. So reopening up Sunsama on my laptop. Now you can see that screen share as well. So with this, I just spent some time on my iPad going through this list of what are the different things that I needed to adjust, the things that I didn't accomplish from this week. Some of them were just things from yesterday that I hadn't checked off my list, and some of them are things that I needed to remove my list, knowing what I'm going into this weekend. So I did a little pre-work there. So when you come into Sunsama, it's going to look like this, where all of your columns have just nothing under it, okay? The way that I like to think about when I set them up is I want to set it up by my routine. So looking at the routine that I just had on my iPad, that first routine is my morning routine. Well, the way that I set that up here in Sunsama is I say, this is my morning routine. It's my rise and shine routine. These are all the things that I do in my routine. And actually, like I said, I'm updating some of those things. So reading my Bible is in here. Yes, taking some time to sit on the toilet is in here. Doing my weigh-in is here, getting dressed. And I've also added in doing a daily manifestation where I've written out a manifestation that by the end of the year, this is what I want to see happen. And I'm writing it in past tense so that I'm telling my brain, this is what's happening. This is what's happening. And I'm writing it down every single day. So I'm updating that here in Sunsama. And so the way I just do that is I'm adding all the tasks in here that I know that I want to do on a regular basis. And then I'm putting a time to it because then I know how much time I need to block out in my time and energy budget to make sure I'm not overbooking myself in a day. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to write that next part. Write in my daily manifestation, manifest. Okay. And of course, I still end up spelling it wrong. That actually, by the time I rewrite that, it's been taking me about 30 minutes. So you see how that changes the planned, or before this, it was only 40 minutes. That pushes it up to an hour and 10 minutes. So Meg, tell me, okay, so you have a question here. Let me see. It says, I'm in the toolkit. I need to set aside time for catching up with that so that will help me set up Sunsama. Yes, you definitely don't want to move on to trying to set up Sunsama until after you've gotten all of your steps in your, like the pre-steps in Sunsama done first. So you want to do setting up your systems first. I'll walk you through how to set up your system so that you can brainstorm what needs to be in them. And then once you have your morning routine, your evening routine, and whatever other routines that you want to do around rest and work and fun, once you have those all written down, it also gives you a place where you're going to decide how much time does it take for me to do each of the tasks within this routine so that you'll have a list of time of how long is it going to take for me to do this system, this routine, and then how often am I going to do it, okay? So that worksheet is going to take you through all of that. Then once you have all of that done, then that is what you're actually transferring to put here inside of Samsama, because these are the things that you're repeating on a regular basis. So say you have a routine or a system where you want to do um YouTube planning for, 3 times a week, or 3 times you have tasks that you need to repeat 3 times in that week, okay? So the way that I do that, you can see some of mine here where I do on a weekly basis, I have this YouTube release tasks. I set that up that it recurs every week. It's not an everyday recurrence, it's an every week. And so you can set up your recurrences in Sunsama to be on the right days at the right cadences that you need them to be so that you can kind of just show up and do the work. That's the part that allows you to automate it because you don't have to think so hard about what has to be done, when, where, and how. You've already put that pre-thought into it and you set up your system to remind you so that all you have to do is wake up in the morning, check your system, and I like to do it at night too. Before I go to bed at night, I check my system so that I know what I have coming up for the next day. And then in the morning, I look at my system again so I am clear about what I have to show up and do today. And all I have to do is show up and do it rather than getting caught in decision fatigue or wasting time because I don't know what I'm supposed to do today. So that's the biggest, that's such a big benefit to using life systems and to using Sunsama to help you manage them, because it simplifies and automates your ability to just show up and do the work and get things done and be way more productive than you would if you had to figure those things out as you go. So let me check back. Meg, does that help? Okay. So Meg, your question says, with the estimated slash actual time for each activity, are you setting a timer so that you can put the actual time it took? So the way that works in Sansama, great question, Meg. I love it. I love the questions. Thank you so much for asking. So the way that this works, and another reason why I love Sansama, say I'm deciding that I want to work on this task to create and schedule the promotional content. I know that I give myself an overall 3 hours to do it. When I'm ready to actually sit down and do it, this little play button, it's actually going to start a timer. And so it's keeping track of how long it's going to take me to do it. And what I love about this is the first time I did it, or the first time I set this timer for this task, I might not know how long it's taking. What I planned was an estimation. But if I do this 3 weeks in a row, I'm going to be able to see some trends. Am I spending, if am I budgeting enough time to do this task? Am I under budgeting? Am I over budgeting? How can I better find a happy medium so that I can budget the right amount of time so that I'm not ever behind or too far ahead, you know? So I use this timer so that I actually get the time of how much time is it going to take me to do this. Now, within that, I can set up the whole timer, or the other way that I could do it is I can click this timer down here, and it is going to time me by each task, each subtask that I have in here. And then when I finish it, I click stop. Okay, it says that it took me a minute to do that. And then I can put the start on this one. I'm going to do all the things that I need to do to complete this task. And then when I've finished it, I'm going to hit stop. And what's beautiful about that is it's tallying up how much time it takes you to do these things by each of the tasks. And it kind of lets maybe I thought that this was going to take less time than it actually does. So it can help you see where your inefficiencies might be and how you can focus on increasing productivity in there. Now, let me tell you, I'm not all about like, you have to be perfect all the time. So there's going to be times where some things just take longer than others, especially if you're tired. But this is going to give you the information that you need so that you can make an educated decision on how you want to switch things versus, just continuing allowing yourself to be overbooked and stretched out and stretched thin. Okay. Really, really good question, Meg. So let me know. So the thing that I want to note here, if you click the start button, if you don't let it go all the way to the minute, it doesn't tally it until it gets to the minute. But you see, it came right back. So then I'm gonna stop it. Okay. So it still would have calculated it up here. But just something to keep in mind, or so that you don't get freaked out. Okay. Meg, tell me, was that helpful? What other questions do you have? I would love to answer your questions about Sansama. Also, too, because I found that this is a really great way to be able to time block and to get better at time blocking. Time blocking is so important to your time and energy budget because it's another way of how you do it. The difference between your time and energy budget versus time blocking is your time and energy budget is you setting up your ideal week, your realistic week, what you ideally want things to look like beforehand, and having a very good idea of what your standard week should look like and what work-life balance regularly looks like for you, and then using that as the guideline of how you use time blocking on a regular weekly basis. So your time and energy budget is this pre-step that you do to set yourself up for success. And then time blocking is what we are doing every single week when we're setting up our schedule. We're marking in the times, we're setting up and budgeting out every week how we're going to use our time so that we're not overbooking ourselves. So let me know how that's feeling, how that's setting for you. I'm going to close out of here. So then once you get to the place where you have your systems in here, what you're doing on top of that is you're adding in, okay, so I have my systems. These are the regular things that I'm going to do every day on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, on a bi-weekly basis, whatever cadence that it is. I have these regular things that I want to do, but I also have some things that only happen, it's once this might be a focus that I'm doing for this week. You have some achievement goals, some things that are not habits. They're just things that have a beginning, a middle, and an end that you need to work on as well. And so you're scheduling those things in between your habits so that you're making time for both of those things. So, like, I scheduled in this weekend for this trip. That's not something that happens every week. So, I made sure I scheduled that in and that I adjusted some of my routines to be able to accommodate the fact that I'm going to need more time to do something fun for this weekend. And that's a wonderful thing. So, I lost train of thought. So let me know. I that was where I was at for that. Let me if there's any other thoughts, let me see if Meg has any other questions. Okay. Awesome. Meg said this, yes, this is very helpful. Good. I'm happy to know that. Anytime you have questions about it, Sunsama, that's why we get on here so that you have all the resources that you need to be able to make this work for you because like all things, if you don't have someone to help you figure out like where am I going wrong, it's easy to just drop it, but that doesn't mean that it's not a good practice. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. You just needed some more startup time, some more startup guidance to help you make the most of it. And I want you to be able to make the most out of this practice because this practice has changed my life. This took me from being burnt out, stretched thin, regardless of whether I was working as a corporate professional or as an entrepreneur. I was burnt out in both of those scenarios before getting this life practice. All right, and we're back. So let's see. Oh, Mac had another one. I've heard of time blocking, but never really tried it because it seemed overwhelming. I was probably overthinking it though. Let me tell you, any productivity thing is overwhelming at the beginning. Please give yourself grace. It's so much easier when you have someone that's going to do it with you and help you break it down. That's exactly why I started these weekly live streams because it is overwhelming at the beginning, but we can do it step by step and we can do it together, and that's going to make it a lot easier, a lot more manageable for you to be able to get 1% better at it every week. So give yourself grace. Just start with the first part. Start with getting your systems figured out inside the anti-superhero toolkit, and then next week we can come back together. Let me know you've got that done, and then we can talk through that together right here on this call. That's what this is about getting you whatever you need, because I don't want this to be overwhelming. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. I don't want it to be overwhelming. Okay. Awesome. So, okay. So I was saying, once you get your systems, your objectives, all of those things in here, the next part that I love about Sansama is then you can actually use the things that you have on your to-do list and schedule them right in your calendar. So let me close out of here so you can see what I just did. I clicked the word up right above the day that I want to plan. There's focus and plan. Focus is when you're actually ready to do the work for that day. Plan is when you're ready to set up to create your plan for that day. So I'm going to click plan, and then it's going to give me just the things that I'm looking at for today. And it's taking me directly to my weekly objectives, but I actually want to just put things in my calendar. My calendar is integrated with Sunsama here. So this is literally putting everything when I'm dragging and dropping it, it's putting it on my calendar so that I know what's scheduled out for the week. So here I can take this task and I can drag it and drop it. You see, it knows already that this was a 3-hour task. So it creates a full block for that 3 hours. And I can see that it's blocked out on my calendar. Now, what I love about this is we tell ourselves, oh, I'm going to work on this for 3 hours. But then in our mind, we actually only think, oh, I'm just working on it for a half an hour. Like our mind always underestimates how much time that actually is. And so when I see it on my calendar, it makes it so much easier for me to recognize This is a good block of time, and I need to be mentally prepared to do the deep work for the full amount of this time. In addition to not overbooking myself to do other things, there's only 24 hours in a day. If I set myself up to do 9 hours and 50 minutes worth of work, and there's only 5 hours left in the day, guess what? I'm not going to get it all done today. And so this makes setting up our schedule and budgeting our time so much more real. That is the beauty of time blocking, is that it makes the commitments that we've set ourselves up to do more real and tangible, and we can see just how much we can actually do or cannot actually accomplish. All right, so I can drag it. Once I do that, I can drag it and drop it across here, or I can remove it back from the calendar, and it just keeps it in today's to-do list until I either move it to another day or the day changes. So let me scroll over and see if you have any questions about that. Okay, no questions so far. All right. So then um coming back over here. So this is what we're doing in this section where I'm saying, hey, this is where we actually take time to go ahead and set up our schedule for next week. You already have your to-dos on the list. You should be dragging and dropping and putting them in the calendar so that by the time you finish this time, your calendar is filled out, your schedule is filled out for the whole week. Now, I always have a hard time, not always. Sometimes I have a hard time doing this on the call because I am multitasking and I'm giving you guys information while I'm also, explaining things. So I go back and do this afterwards. But yeah, the goal is to have this all set up by the end of this 20-minute time. Now, I've been moving things around and all of those things. So we've actually gone through the planning time a couple times over. So I'm going to go ahead and move us on to the next section. Oh, look at that. I still have this from Mimi up here. I love it. Okay. So, moving us on to the next section, it is time for us to wind down for the weekend. So, going back to that section in our worksheet, what we do now is that we are going to, for one, we're going to look at what windows on our computer can we close today. And maybe you even want to shut down your computer for today. Now, I'm going to be honest, I rarely close down my computer for the weekend because I always have at least a couple hours that I'm going to work on this, and I record over the weekend as well. I would say that some of my weekdays are a little less busy, like my Mondays are less busy than my weekend. So that's if I was going to shut down my computer, it's going to be on a Monday. But I do make sure that on the weekends that I like to close some windows, so that I actually am creating more mental space. So I have a couple windows that I'm going to close this weekend. Next, for my wind down task number one, today, what is the fun food that I am going to eat? I am going to check out this restaurant called Fresh Roots. They make vegan dishes, they make fresh pressed juice. I'm really excited about going to check that out. Actually, as soon as we get off this call, I'm going to go do that. So I'm really looking forward to that today. Then for the fun activity that I'm going to do, I am here in Detroit for an event called Champions of the Dance Floor. So the event tonight, I believe it's 7 to 1 a.m. So I'm gonna go dance. I'll start in my heels and then I'm gonna switch to my sneakers. But I'm gonna dance until my feet fall off. And then yeah, those are my three things that I'm winding down, how I'm winding down for this weekend. So let me know, what are your plans? How are you winding down for this weekend? And let me tell you, I really appreciate when y'all are able to stick it out with me for the Wi-Fi technical difficulties. Now that I'm traveling more often and I'm doing the live stream. So I've always been traveling, but I wasn't always doing the live stream. So I don't always think about how this could affect it. I'm gonna have to get a better plan for having consistent Wi-Fi while I'm traveling. So y'all pray for me while I figure that out. Maybe I could do that T-Mobile thing. We'll see. So, but I appreciate you being able to navigate me coming in and out while this is doing while I'm having technical difficulties. So, thank you so much for sticking around. So, okay, Meg, did you have anything that you wanted to share? If not, I'm gonna go ahead and recap us for the week. So here's where we are. While you're letting me know, what do you have planned for this weekend? What fun things do you have planned to wind down? I love getting you guys set up to really create work-life balance. It is a passion of mine because I remember the days when I was stretched thin, burnt out all the time, and I am so grateful to not be in that spot anymore. And all of us Black women deserve to not have to be in that space anymore. You deserve to enjoy your life. You deserve to have peace of mind. You deserve to not have to be on all the time. You deserve to not have to be burnt out. And we on one hand can wait for somebody else to give that to us, but we can also take it. And this is how I have figured out how to take it. And I don't, when I say take it, I'm not saying take it as a forsaking everybody else. It's just actually creating some space and boundaries for me to get what I need while everybody else gets what they need. Like, why shouldn't I don't need to sacrifice my needs so that everybody else can get their needs. So I'm taking what I need. And this is how I do it. I use my time and energy budget. I also have used everything that I do in my 6 month coaching program called Meant for More. There's four main things that I have done, four main phases of that, where I reinvented my identity without work. I really sat down and dreamed and decided what I wanted my life to look like rather than allowing life to tell me what it wanted to give me. Like I was over that. I actually wanted to decide where I wanted to take my life, and I was intentional about doing that. And then these life systems that I keep talking about, these life systems were the consistent work that I did for me every single day that changed my life to create work life balance, to prioritize me, to prioritize my values so that I could live the work life balance and the lifestyle freedom that I wanted and desired. And then from that, as my life continued to change, I adapted it and to continue to allow it to keep working for me. So those were the four main things that shifted. And now I've set that up in a program to help my clients and Black women be able to make all of those same changes. So if you're in a place where you've been burnt out, stretched thin, you're tired of being on all the time, and you are ready for a change, I would love for you to get my free webinar called How to Work Less and Live More Without Being a Millionaire or Waiting to Be a Millionaire or waiting for retirement for that matter. Like you can enjoy your life and live it right now. So I'm going to put the link in the description. It's already in the description for you to be able to sign up for that. But yeah, it's called Get That Free Webinar. The other thing that you can do, head over to webinar.yourdreamstrategist.com to get that webinar for free. So that here's the thing, I'm telling you the whole process. If you want, you can take that process and run with it on your own, okay? And if you want help, I'm here to support you and coach you through that too. You can join if it's a good fit for both of us, then I'd love to invite you to join that program. But the webinar is going to give you the steps flat out. So it's great for you to go ahead and check that out. Again, that's at webinar.yourdreamstrategist.com. All right. So while I was doing that, Meg went ahead and told me her wind down. I love it. Meg says, my wind down plan for today is to watch a show, eat some lunch. So excited to meet you tomorrow. Yay! I'm so excited to meet you tomorrow too. It's going to be such a fun time. We'll have to make sure we take some pictures. You're going to have to help me because I always remember after I get home and I'm like, dang it, I didn't take any pictures. So don't let us get home. Don't let us leave from hanging out without taking pictures, okay? Can't wait for it. All right, you guys. Well, that's everything that we needed to do today. If you have any questions, anything that you want to chat about, go ahead and put them in the comments of this video. Or if you really want to have like an actual conversation, go ahead and DM me on Instagram. My handle is here right in front of me. I would love to hear what you got going on. Was this walkthrough for Sunsama helpful? If you're interested in the anti superhero toolkit, whatever you need, let's chat about it. But today, have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope that you wind down well for the weekend, and I hope that you have a great and amazing weekend. All right. See you next week. Or no, I'll see you on Sunday. Oh my, I can't believe I almost forgot that. Monthly reflection. Our monthly reflection live is on Sunday. And that's all about connecting back to our vision board for the year and making sure that we're still on our path to accomplishing our things that we put on our vision board. So if you've created a vision board and you want to make sure that you are going to stay on track to accomplishing everything on that vision board, make sure that you log in, connect with me on Sunday at noon here on YouTube Live to go through our monthly reflection together. Okay, I promise that is everything. I enjoy you guys. Have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.